We've got one or two people saying that they cannot see the gallery option in view. Do we need to change the attendees option?
Would it help if Aaron stopped sharing?
Yeah, let's try that. Let's stop sharing.
Yeah. That works.
Right, is that okay for everybody? Okay, I think we'll start and we'll get going. Okay, welcome everybody to the RAD meetings. Finally, it's very exciting to get together with everybody through the power of Zoom. It doesn't matter where you're based, everybody can see each other and we can all communicate with each other, which is great. Hopefully, you'll find today we're not going to have any problems with IT, fingers crossed. RAD have got over 120 people, 120 members of staff, which is a lot. And we know that we wouldn't be able to have everybody joining us today. So we will be recording this presentation and then it will be sent out to everybody afterwards. This is our first Zoom chat, first Zoom organizational chat, and we're planning to have 3 more throughout the year, and also 1 conference where we can all get together. Today is our kickoff. It's the initial start of our conversation with you all. The purpose of this presentation, this webinar today, is to think about and have a look at and reflect on the amazing work that RAD have been doing, to share information about our current situation and to look forward into our future. I'm really pleased to be joined by the executive team today. So we've got Julie Ratcliffe, who is our COO, Chief Operating Officer. We've got Claire Woods, who is newly appointed Director of Finance. And we've got Daniel Clements, who is the Director of the ILS service. We've also got Aaron, who is the Senior Lead for Marketing and Translation, as a member of the board, and also we've got interpreters Taz and Amy. Right, and I think we'll get going. Everybody will go around and do a quick presentation a bit later on as we go through this session. Recently, members of staff and the board of trustees got together for a strategy day to look at where we are and where we want to be in the future. And there were 2 questions that were asked. One was, what makes you proud to work for RAD? And the second was, what makes RAD unique? And you might be interested to find out the answers to those questions. I'm going to try and work out how to share the screen so that you can all see the feedback that we received and the answers to those 2 questions.
You okay there, Andrew?
Mhm.
So hopefully you were able to have a look at those and have a look at some of the amazing comments that we received. So what makes RAD unique? It was really interesting. A lot of people were very proud of the heritage, the innovation, the diversity of services that we have, the great people. From my observations over my time here, it all seems to be very true. So what we're going to do next is show you the agenda for the rest of the meeting.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to switch to speaking. And if we can spotlight. So I get to start off and to just give a short overview of some things that have been happening, certainly during my time here at RAD. I have to say, it's been a fantastic experience and exceeded what I expected. And so thank you for everybody's support in the time that I've been working here. When I arrived, I thought, what are the objectives that the board and the organization wanted me to focus on? And I identified the following objectives that I would work on with the executive team and management to deliver. Aaron, could you share those list of key deliverables? So one, to provide executive leadership and management recruitment and to look at realignment of departments. Two, to lead on a financial reforecast leading up till around 2026. To look at how we could expand our external relationships and partnerships and use the BSL Act as a key driver. To review RAD's property portfolio and to look at the opportunity of purchasing a new London headquarters, business development and marketing strategy.
Sorry, Andrew. A lot of people are saying they can't see the interpreter while you're presenting.
Okay, we'll need to take down the screen then. So as we mentioned at the start, this is the first time that we've done this. So hopefully next year, by the time we get to the third Zoom presentation, we'll have it nailed and it will be smooth and work really well. So without using those slides, let me just reflect on a couple of things. One of the things that's critical is how we build bridges. And I was just thinking about in coming in to RAD was how could I help build a bridge from the past to the future during this short time that I'm here. And so I very much see this interim period as bridge building. And we had at the start of the year, Sue and Leslie and Amanda, who've been with the organization for a long period of time. And their departure meant that suddenly there was a loss of leadership. Having 3 CEOs in an organization isn't that common. And so when you have that level of departure, there has to be quite a review, quite a significant review of how structures work. And that is what we set about doing. The board obviously identified an interim CEO, which was myself. So I was brought in, and straight away there was a need to look at how did we replace the previous CEOs. And so Anna Hughes was brought in as the interim finance director. And then we were able to recruit Julie Ratcliffe to become the new Chief Operating Officer. And that then gave us a new platform, a new foundation to have an executive leadership team to take over from the previous 3 CEOs. Once the exec team was in place, we were then able to look at the wider management structure. And so we're really pleased that we've been able to put in place this new management structure. And the amazing thing is that many of those roles have been taken on internally by members of staff who have been in RAD for many years. And so it's been fantastic to see the career progression for various people within the organization. The second bridge that we were trying to build was to look at RAD's financials position. During the last 3 years, the board had committed almost £3 million in terms of investment into services and different things that RAD has been working on. The board has been very supportive of everything that RAD's been trying to do, and we recognize the board and value their strategic direction and support. However, we find ourselves in a situation where we can't continue to operate on a deficit budget. And so one of the tasks in recent months, and it's still ongoing, is to look at how we can move to a break-even budget for RAD. And the aim is that we can achieve that by 25-26. The fortunate thing for RAD is that it is in a strong financial position, and that gives us time to be able to work on a financial strategy which will ensure that the organization can move through this period of time. One of the exciting areas that has happened in the recent months is the amount of collaboration we'll be able to have with other organizations and stakeholders out across the country. We've had many invitations to work with other organizations, to work on some joint bids, and also been involved with the BSL Alliance, and also with the Deaf Together campaign and other events that are developing. And so that's something that we look forward to seeing carrying on in the future. As you know, over the decades, RAD has owned a lot of properties. But what's interesting is that the needs of people change, trends change over time, and the interests of people do as well. And as a result, over the last couple of decades, RAD has sold a number of its properties. So today, RAD owns a property in Southend. We also have a property on Green Lanes in London. And we also currently rent the Colchester property. I can announce that going forward, the plan is that we will continue to own Green Lanes, and we're in the process of renewing the lease with St. John's and looking at how we can revitalize our relationship with St. John's and the community in that area. The decision has been made that we're going to market the Southend property through discussion with the local deaf committee and so on. We feel that this is the right time, and so you'll see next year that property being marketed and sold. The plan is that we have identified a London HQ, which is exciting. We're grateful to the RAD office working committee to help us to identify this office. And the plan currently is we have everything in place to present the plan to the board later this week, and subject to approval, we'll then be able to move on the purchase of this new property in London, which will give us a place in central London that will allow us to deliver services and to increase our profile. At the same time, we recognise that we have quite a lot of employees around the Colchester area, and that it will be key to continue to have a satellite office location where staff can meet and work as needs require. In terms of looking to the future for the sustainability of RAD, we need to be thinking about our business development, the services that we provide. Historically, we've relied very much on bidding for statutory income. We'll continue to do that. But we also need to look at the services that we offer and can sell, which will help us to increase income and enable us to deliver the full range of services that we provide. We are coming to the end of our current strategy. It comes to an end in 2024. And so the board, the exec team and management team have been working on creating a new strategic plan. We're in the process of creating it. It's not finalized yet. We don't expect it to be finalized until early next year. So there's still time for people to be able to contribute to it. And there will be some wider engagement with employees on that. The board and trustees recognise that RAD consists of you, 120 members of staff, the deaf community that we're here to serve. Despite the challenges that we see with cost of living, funding cuts, the post-recovery that we're still going through, we're confident that there are great opportunities that still lie ahead of RAD. RAD's best days are still in front of it. And we want you to be part of this next era of RAD. So together we can make sure that deaf people are empowered to live in a world where communication and information are no longer barriers. I'd now like to invite Julie to give us an update on things that she's been up to.
I'm muting.
Oh, sorry, Julie.
Did you want to do Mark's video?
Yeah, before we do that, we have a little clip from Mark Wheatley, who is going to be RAD's new CEO. We're delighted that he's coming on board, and we'll now just share a brief hello from Mark.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Wheatley, and this is my sign name. I would like to offer a huge thank you to the board of RAD for selecting me to become your new CEO, and I'll be starting in January. It's a massive honour. I have been working as a director for the EUD, which is the European Union for the Deaf, which is in Brussels, Belgium. And having been working at a European level for a number of years, I'm now looking forward to going back to the UK and working with all of you. Something that I've noticed when I've been looking into RAD is the phrase Team RAD. And I'm really interested in finding out what is the value of that word, what's the importance, how do we all work together? And as of January, I'm really looking forward to understanding Team RAD with all of you. We've got a lot of exciting times coming up. Thank you very much.
Over to Julie.
Hi, can you hear me? Good. Okay, so look, hi everyone. It's really good to have you all here and to have a connection in this way. I hope that you will find this webinar informative and enjoyable. But this is just an update for me to say that now I've settled into my role, I wanted to give thanks to managers as they all kind of picked up some additional responsibilities to backfill some of the operational work that I was doing previously. And I know they're continuing to look at ways of backfilling some of their work within the team. So it's been a sort of privilege to work with Andrew and Anna and the board to stabilise the organisation and keep it healthy. But I just want to sort of give thanks to everybody for their patience and for the support that they've shown during these changes. Just in terms of operationally, I'm working with Claire to ensure that the organisation is giving consideration to GDPR at the moment. We are working with Richard Einon and an external consultant and trainer to make sure that we are compliant and reviewing our processes. And as a safeguarding officer, Eleanor Martin's role has enhanced responsibilities to include some data compliance activity and some monitoring. So safeguarding not only colleagues, but our clients and the organisation as well. So more will be shared on that shortly. And Claire's got a bit more to say about that, but needless to say, there'll be some training that comes out in relation to making sure we're doing everything we can operationally with regards to data. Just a bit of an update on HR. So as many of you will know, Emma Rich is no longer RAD's HR manager, having found a new opportunity she's moved on to. She was really instrumental in supporting the CEO recruitment process and had started us off with a review of our own HR systems and processes. But for now, Emma Holness and I are managing the HR function in the interim. But after a successful day of interviews last week, I'm happy to confirm that we have found a new HR lead who will be joining us in January, and his name is Danny Lowther. Now, he's got 15 years of HR experience, and I think he's really looking forward to joining us as a charity, and we're really looking forward to welcoming him to Team RAD. We have invested £4,000 into modernising some of our HR function and have a new recruitment micro website, which we hope will improve the application process and feel more accessible externally. So not the traditional sort of application forms, but now a move completely online. You might have seen that we've updated our job description templates to adopt the same kind of modern approach and updated feel. And our appraisal and supervision documents have been streamlined and improved, and we're hoping to share them with you shortly. We're just trying to make it a smoother process for everybody. We did want to explain that we've taken the decision to return to Christmas closure this year, which I think some of you might remember we used to close historically, but because of the pandemic, we remained open throughout that whole period with staff and managers, directors working. So what we want to do is thank everybody for all the previous years who've worked or volunteered their time over those periods. But now that the live chat is seeing reduced activity, we feel that some services have returned to some level of normal since the pandemic. So we feel it's safe to do that, and we'll only run critical services at that time, such as independent living and interpreting on call. Some more information will be shared about that. So if you remember that you've got any outstanding annual leave, we're encouraging people to book that time off, because you can only kind of carry forward 5 days in agreement with your line manager, but thinking about using some of that time over the Christmas period. And then obviously some of you might be wondering what's happening with marketing. So we've had the pleasure of working with Susie for a couple of months, and she too has moved on to another opportunity, returning back to the corporate sector. And whilst this kind of saddened us, she has been very supportive of RAD and our work, and she remains a friend to RAD, giving us guidance as we move forward in the sort of next phase and implementing of the marketing strategy that she put together for us. So when we think about what that means, we recognised, having worked with Susie, that RAD should have understood our marketing requirements long ago. And whilst we have worked hard historically to create good content and ensure RAD's profile was displayed well, this was very inward focused. And our marketing team have worked tirelessly, but manually for years, to make sure the internal marketing needs of the organisation and of the funders were met. Now, we know we need to continue to support marketing internally, but there must be a big push to grow our mainstream audience and our purchasing audience and marketing of our commercial services that Andrew just touched on. So we need to ensure that we've got the ability to commercially market what RAD have to offer so that we can maximise our income. And for this, we need a much larger audience, which does include mainstream and professionals. So whilst we continue to sort of secure statutory funding for paid services, such as from local authorities, typically this is to provide care work, advice, employment, advocacy, and we will be bidding for sort of special projects like historically we had Deaf Achieve or a national lottery project. That target audience is predominantly deaf people, deaf communities and their associated networks like social workers or DWPs. But by commercial offer and our sort of commercial ambitions, this relates to the selling of our other services into the mainstream and could include translation, interpreting, consultancy and training, where that target audience is mainstream businesses and who are looking to be more accessible for deaf people, to be inclusive. So an example would be, for example, TUI Airlines, holiday company, recently buying our deaf awareness consultancy and training. So back to marketing, to help the team and our internal function manage more efficiently and help with the commercial sales of our services, RAD are looking to invest further and introducing a centralised system called HubSpot, which is going to make the managing of marketing activity and tracking activity far easier than it has been before. And training for that is going to start in January and will be delivered by HubGem. And you will be contacted should you be required to have that training. So in the interim, we will be outsourcing our initial work to help us optimise our website and implementation plans. But lastly, we will be moving forward with the advertising of a strategic marketing manager should they join us at a pivotal stage when Mark's joining us and also when the system is going live. So just in terms of any successes we've had, stability has been a bit of a theme. I thought I would share with you some information about the type of work we're bidding for. On a positive note, some of our most recent successful bid outcomes. So as you know, as Andrew mentioned, we've invested millions of pounds to test new services, and we feel we know what was working and what wasn't, and this has allowed us to reshape our services going forward. By combining advice and wellbeing services, we are able to bid for usual advice contracts. So, for example, we've just secured HMRC tax support again. We've just submitted a bid in partnership with Sign Health for a suicide prevention project. And we've also just secured £30,000 from West London DWP. But as part of our consultancy work, we have also secured partnership arrangements with a large telecoms provider to campaign for BSL and deaf awareness. That's a value of £60,000 to RAD. And then we're also looking at working with a training provider who are able to draw down government funding for the provision of training to deaf people, which would be free to the learner. So all we need to do is to facilitate that. So we're exploring opportunities to bid for other larger projects, and we'll focus some of those projects on deaf advance and employability support. So that then comes back and all supports the training centre. So that's where we go full circle, and the marketing activity can really support with that, reaching a deaf audience who need the training and the professionals who might be buying that. Lastly, we secured the voter ID funding for the Deaf Votes Matter project, which initially is a London-based project to support people with understanding their voting rights and how they can vote. So a lot of scope for more work there nationally. So that's just a taster of some of the things that we've been working on and will continue to work on. And then just lastly, I just want to talk about something quite positive and something that we're calling Shout Out. So I want to share with you that we recognise the work that everyone does to highlight successes across the organisation. We would like to introduce a new shout out feature. So we would like for you to share with us your recommendations for colleagues who should receive a shout out. So tell us what they've achieved, or tell us about something amazing they've done, maybe as part of their everyday role, where they've gone above and beyond, or maybe they have achieved a qualification in their training. So whatever it is, we want to know about it, and we will share with you how we plan to take that forward. But the key information is that anyone selected for a shout out will be entered into a monthly draw and will win a prize. So, but I'm going to kick it off with the first shout out here and now and say well done to Sarah Watson, because this was her initiative. She put this idea forward. It was her idea as a way of supporting and recognising colleagues for all of their hard work that perhaps we don't get to see every day. So there's my shout out, and that's my update.
Okay, so I hope everybody can see me. Thank you, Julie, for all of your updates. I will try to keep mine brief and just link to the period of change with my role and what this means. I think it's really important for me to explain a bit more about my role as Director of Independent Living and Support Services with Programmes. So I want to explain about what this means. So my area of focus will be advocacy, advice and well-being, and also independent living. But it's really important to remember that for RAD, our biggest service is independent living. So my role will also include supporting Deaf Advance and the training team. So their development, their opportunities. So I will be working with that team as well. And as an organisation, I'll be providing a support and seeing what opportunities and partnerships are out there. Going forward over the next few months, I will be focusing on our services and reviewing those. I'll be seeing how we can continue and how we can ensure that our services are really good quality, they're very efficient and effective. Our services are amazing. As you know, you deliver these services, you work hard as a team to provide the support every day. So my areas of focus, they fall under an umbrella. So my aim is to try to bring the services together to be working with a crossover as one team. I would like to share some successes to date, which has been really, it was really difficult to pick them because there's been so many successes within the team, but I thought it'd be really worth focusing on the independent living service. And because over the years, independent living hasn't really been seen, and they've been quite hidden. So now I think it's a really good opportunity to give independent living more exposure and to talk about the achievements within the service. So independent living is really successful. We receive a lot of external referrals who want to have access to this service because they know that the quality of the service is really high and there's always a high demand for independent living. Clients have many, many different achievements, and I'll give you some examples. Clients perhaps going to deaf events for the first time and feeling included, being able to meet other members of the deaf community, having access to communication as well. Achieving jobs for the first time, they may have experienced many barriers and then finally they're able to work with our supports and to be able to achieve employment. Other outcomes have been clients themselves who have wanted to go to college, adult courses, further education, having wanted to do that, wanting to learn and being successful in enrolment, as well as volunteering out in the community, so charity shops, experiencing different skills. Some, for the first time, have achieved their own homes. And they may have experienced difficulties in the past and they've now learnt the skills and become independent. So learnt those life skills through our support. And it's very important that our services, such as advice, wellbeing, advocacy, independent living, really focus on encouraging independence for deaf people within the community. I'm really excited about the future and working with the team more and really thinking about how we can grow, how we can sustain for the long term. Thank you. I will now hand over to Claire Woods.
Good afternoon and welcome to all who are watching. With the departure of Leslie, Sue and Amanda in May, it's given RAD an opportunity to rebuild and strengthen the executive team, welcoming our first deaf CEO, Mark, in January. So that is all something exciting to look forward to. I'm also excited to be taking on the role of Director of Finance from next week and look forward to being able to grow into this role. It's been fantastic to have worked with Anna Hughes, our Interim Director of Finance, over the past 6 months. Both Andrew and Anna have had a massive impact in the short time they've been here and have been instrumental in building the new executive team structure. It does, however, mean that there will be some changes within the finance team to fill the gaps left with my move to the new role. We will be recruiting in the near future to enable us to reshape the finance team to cover any gaps and to ensure that the team is fully able to meet the needs of the organisation moving forward. The HR function of RAD, which was previously undertaken by the Director of Finance and CEO, has now moved across to the COO, Julie, which she has already spoken about. IT and business support will still fall under the Director of Finance role, so I will be looking after those. The executive team are in the process of setting up a new IT data committee with the aim to improve and maintain the quality of our data and systems. The initial meeting for this is due to be held later this week, so more information will follow regarding this committee. I am very pleased to say that finally the migration of data from Citrix to Microsoft Teams has been completed, and would like to thank all staff for their patience and cooperation throughout this process, as I know from personal experience that it wasn't a straightforward task at all. And it wouldn't be right if I didn't finish off with some financial facts and figures, so here we go. RAD is lucky to currently be in a financially stable position, having available substantial reserves, although for several years we've been used to using this to fund planned deficits. The strategic plan moving forward is to take RAD out of a deficit budget by 2026, and an outline budget is currently being worked on along with the Board of Trustees. To end with, I'd just like to give you an idea of the proportion of our total income that some of our services have brought in during the first 6 months of this financial year. ILS has the greatest percentage of total income at 46%. Interpreting is 24% and Radvice 12%. It will be most interesting to see what these will look like in a few years' time, whether they will have changed at all. And that's it for me. Thank you. We're now going to move on to some questions and our responses to those.
Okay, so first question that we've received is, assuming the purchase of the building in London goes ahead, can we ask how this will change how we operate? Will it be used for staff working, meetings, delivering services? And Andrew is going to answer that question for us.
Okay, well, thank you for that question. As I mentioned earlier, we are looking to establish RAD's headquarters back in London, back at the heart of where RAD was first founded, and that will become our central office location where we'll be able to deliver services nationally. We do recognize, though, that we have quite a number of colleagues in the Colchester area that will need a space to work in. So there will continue to be a satellite hub there. We've not yet signed the contract for the new office in London. However, everything is working towards completion. And once we've got more details, we'll be sure to share that with you. There's a lot of excitement around it, particularly with other organizations in London that no longer have office space wanting to collaborate with us. So we're hoping that having an office in London will be a great platform for the future.
Lovely, thank you. Okay. The next question we've received is, will the Team Rad internal newsletters be making a comeback? We found them very useful in covering updates from different services, achievements and photos that inspired us to all be positive. And I believe Julie's taking that one.
Yeah. So whilst we used to enjoy seeing the newsletters, I think those involved in creating this would agree that we would need to find a better way of managing it. Firstly, I'd be asking everybody if they felt the newsletter was important and do they still want to see that returned, and if so, this is something that the marketing team may be able to put together once the new manager joins. That's a process that could be reviewed. But if colleagues like that document because it highlighted successes and achievements and it was a way of looking at information that was coming out, then it could be replaced with the shout out idea and these town hall events, which are going to happen several times a year, that give an opportunity to sort of share information and be a more interactive space. But we are open to your feedback. It's definitely something that we can talk about and we can keep talking about.
Great, thank you very much, Julie. Okay, moving on. The next question we received is, if I have any issues with Cascade or IT, I'm not sure who I need to contact. Can we provide some clarification, please? And Claire's taking this one.
Yes, whilst we're currently without an HR lead, all queries regarding Cascade should be directed to the finance email address, which I'm sure most of you know where that is or what it is, where myself, Hayley and Liz will be able to pick these up and respond accordingly as best we can. Once the new HR person starts, then this will move back over to HR. Any other queries regarding IT, phones, equipment or support should be emailed to radsupport@purpletech.io, where Richard or one of his team will get back to you as soon as they can. If you're in any doubt at all, then please contact your manager who will be able to point you in the right direction. Hopefully that answers that one.
That's great, thank you, Claire. Okay, we had a question about what RAD are doing to support the BSL Act. So Daniel is taking this one. Yes, so RAD are part of two working groups. We're a part of the BSL Advisory Board and also the BSL Act stakeholders group. So we are very involved in partnership work, we're sharing ideas and we're working with other organisations, but it's also really important to recognise our services now that have already started to gain traction and look at how we can use the BSL bill, the BSL Act, to fit in with the work that we're doing and make BSL more accessible. So we're already taking some of the work that's happening with the BSL Act into the work that we're currently doing, but we are involved in two working groups to make sure that we influence the way the Act goes. Okay, next question. Oh, hang on. We're just changing views again. Here we go. Right. Sorry about that. We had a question regarding the number of people who have been leaving recently, and that's left a feeling of instability. What if people like Daniel or Julie leave? I think Julie, Daniel, one of you are taking this, aren't you?
Yeah, I can start us off, and Daniel might want to come in and say a contribution. But I think it's important to just say, look, people have always left RAD, and mostly this is to go on to new and different opportunities. I think there's just a sense that because the 3 CEOs left, that everybody now leaving, it must be connected, and it's not the case. As I said, people have always left RAD, and when they're going on to wonderful new jobs, we kind of wish people well. But obviously that there's a feeling of instability this year. So I think it's important to say that whilst we continuously review RAD's operations, we have always needed to do so by the very nature of working in a charity environment. And previously, we've been reliant on funding to keep people secure in jobs. And that's why people often end up with multiple roles, because contracts end. So we're trying to keep people safe in their jobs. And so people end up with lots of different areas of business to be responsible for. But I think to give us further sort of stability, we need to think of ways to diversify our income and come up with a new and evolving strategy, which is everything we've been talking about today. So whilst we'll continue to look for contracts in the traditional way, with our ambitions now including commercial services, we would expect to see increased income into the organisation, which will hopefully make more of a contribution to the overheads and to then support other services that may not be doing so well for income in operations. And this is always moving, and we need to be prepared to work together to give this our best shot in growing the organisation. But now that the informal kind of consultations and structure changes are complete, we don't anticipate any other changes as a result of those conversations and ambitions. I think that if there were in the future any other changes, which might be realignment of roles, contracts that come and go, redundancies, anything like that, would be because of our operational conditions and business need, and not actually to do with the work that Andrew's been doing. And I think that on a positive note, myself and Daniel have just moved into our new roles, and we're really committed to supporting the organisation's growth ambitions, to support Mark when he arrives, and to continue to support you all as we move into this kind of exciting new phase, so that we're hopeful that everything should be feeling more stable now going forward. I don't know if Daniel's got anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I mean, like, for example, tomorrow we've got 6 new members of staff starting in independent living. So there's always people joining. And, you know, I know it's very easy for us to look at the number of leavers, but at the same time, we do have a lot of people starting and joining the organisation as well, because our services are growing, we're changing, we've got that positivity. So just to reiterate what Julie said, you know, I've got a new role, she's got a new role, and we're both very excited to look at the future, to see what's coming, to see what happens when the new exec starts. And we're all really positive about the future and moving forwards. Great. Can you both stay there? I've got one more question for you both. So just thinking about well-being and how staff well-being is, because we've noticed that it feels like the team sense of community doesn't feel as strong as it did earlier last year. So can you comment on that, please?
Daniel, did you want to go first?
I think we already know, you know, we do look at well-being every year. We do try and provide as much support as we can. We do a lot of team meetings as much as we can, both face-to-face and remote. We try and use a mixture of different ways to make sure that the team are sort of connected to each other. And you know, we do look at how much time we do spend together, and we recognise that sometimes people feel that that's not enough. Some people feel isolated and that they don't have a lot of contact with others. And if that is the case for you, then please do contact your line manager, raise it in supervision, and we can look at how we can make adjustments. I think when we have a new office in London, that will help, because it will give us a place that people can go, and we can be open and all work in the same place and meet up in the same place. So once we have that opportunity, I think that will give us a better chance for more face-to-face and physical meetups. Julie, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm just going to come in and say that remember that we've revised our PDR process to now become the appraisal process, and the documentation for that is much more warm and much less intense. And we think that that's a really nice opportunity for line managers to come together with their teams and just have that sort of touch point with people. So in addition to all of the one-to-one meetings that you're having for your project management and your operational meetings, we've got the supervision documents, and we've also got this new appraisal. We do feel that we're doing a lot of things to try to support people's well-being through what's been a very kind of challenging time, but hopefully we're coming through it. And we were really grateful, by the way, for the many messages of thanks we got from you all in relation to your Costa Coffee voucher. And we hope that you were able to get a nice refreshing drink in the summer. And if not, I think pumpkin spice lattes are back for the winter.
Great, thank you very much, Julie and Daniel. We've had another question about streamlining RAD and what that means for frontline jobs. A lot of people are feeling stretched and sometimes feel that they aren't having enough support. So who is going to come back on that one? Julie, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm happy to come in and say, look, I think we've kind of covered that in the previous 2 points in respect of the reason why we're having to work in such a way is because we're in this environment where funding contracts come and go, and our first priority will always be to keep people in their jobs to the full-time hours or their full hours that they're contracted to work for. So we can appreciate that there's some unease across the team when they're having multiple work streams. But again, that's something that we're looking to review as we move forward over the next coming months. If we can improve it, we will, and we are constantly talking about it. Many things play a factor, including geography, including people's levels of qualifications and their ability to carry out certain jobs in certain areas of the business. So it's operations is very complex. There's a lot of logistics to consider.
Great, thank you, Julie. Okay. There have recently been some leadership and management changes. Do we now have the right roles and the right people ready for the new era of RAD? And will there be a new Team RAD structure chart with names on going out soon? And Andrew is on for this one.
Okay, well, this is probably the last question because we want to make sure that we get to competition time. But I hope that everybody can see just by the leadership team on this call that you have capable, passionate leaders in your exec team. And I'm confident that with Mark Wheatley joining, that you're going to have an outstanding exec team, management team, and you as individuals and workers also are going to make sure that we've got the right people to lead the organization forward. We've spoke a lot about the changes this year. They're there to help build a foundation for the future. And I don't think we need to talk more about it because everybody's mentioned it. But one thing we will do, because I couldn't screen share, we will send out a copy of the organizational chart after this meeting. So hopefully seeing the organizational chart will give you a better idea about where everybody's sitting, who people are reporting to. It just lets you see how RAD is now being positioned to take up the challenges that lie ahead in the coming years.
Great, thank you very much. So that's it for the question and answer session now, and we're going to move on to the competition.
So firstly, I'd like to say thank you so much for all of your submissions. We received so many, and we decided to shortlist this and pick 12. And then we are going to make an announcement as to who has won. So I thought I would let you see all these pictures. Bear with me. We're ready. So, the pictures are really, really great. I'm going to now hand over to Andrew to announce the winner.
Okay, well, this was really difficult. Just to shortlist down to the 12, and then to be able to actually select one winner, because I think there could have been more than one. And so the group of people that reviewed all of the pictures, and again, we want to thank everybody who submitted their pictures that describe RAD in such a vibrant and interesting way. So the winner is, and remember the competition is that there's a £100 voucher going here. So the winner is the picture of the lanyard with the Radley badges and pins on them. We thought that reflected both the past, the present, and looks to the future. And the person who took that photograph was our very own Aaron. So well done to Aaron, and
thank you.
We'll arrange the prize to be sent to you. But thank you everybody who submitted photographs. And for our next Zoom meeting next year, we'll make sure we've got another fun competition that everyone can participate in, and we'll make sure that Aaron isn't a winner, so that we always have a different winner.
Yeah, I'm sure the team can beat me. They definitely can.
Okay, that's the challenge, to beat Aaron. Well, we've reached the end of our first RAD Zoom session, our conference online together. We hope it's been informative. We hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we have in terms of spending some time with you. And as we said, those that can't be here, there will be a recording that's sent out with some of the PowerPoints that have been shared. So once again, thank you for your participation and for your work. And we hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Bye.